Clara lived in a small village nestled beside a forest. The villagers called it Whispering Woods. They said the wind whispered secrets through the leaves. Clara loved to listen to the wind. She was a curious girl, always exploring. One sunny afternoon, Clara decided to venture deeper into the woods. She had never gone so far before. The trees grew taller, their branches forming a leafy canopy overhead. Sunbeams dappled the forest floor, painting it with light and shadow. Clara hummed a happy tune as she walked. She imagined fairies hiding among the ferns and gnomes peeking from behind the mushrooms. The woods held a sense of magic, and Clara's heart fluttered with excitement. As Clara walked deeper into the woods, she noticed something sparkling. It was a small stream, but its water shimmered with an unusual light. Curious, Clara leaned closer. The water was crystal clear, and at the bottom lay a circle of smooth, glowing stones. Clara reached out to touch one of the stones. As her fingers brushed its surface, the stone flared with a brilliant light. Clara gasped and drew back her hand. When the light faded, the stream was gone. In its place stood a shimmering gateway, an archway of swirling colors. Clara's heart pounded in her chest. She had never seen anything like it. Taking a deep breath, she stepped towards the archway. A feeling of warmth enveloped her as she crossed the threshold and entered a world unlike any she had ever known. Clara found herself in a beautiful meadow, bathed in a warm, golden light. Flowers bloomed in every color imaginable, their petals sparkling with dew. But something was wrong. The air felt heavy, and a deep sadness seemed to hang over the land. Then Clara saw her. A tiny figure with delicate wings sat weeping beneath a giant sunflower. As Clara drew closer, she realized it was a fairy, her gossamer wings drooping with despair. The fairy looked up, her eyes filled with sadness. "Our heartstone," the fairy whispered, her voice trembling. "It has been stolen by the evil sorcerer, Malric. Without it, the magic of Luminara is fading." Clara's eyes widened. Luminara, a land of fairies and magic. She had stumbled into a real-life fairy tale, and these fairies needed her help. Clara's heart ached for the fairy and her people. "Don't worry," she said, her voice firm despite her nervousness. "I'll help you find the Heartstone." The fairy looked up at Clara, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Thank you, kind child," she said. "Take this." The fairy held out a silver chain with a beautiful crystal pendant. It pulsed with a soft inner light. "This will guide you," the fairy explained. "Follow its light and it will lead you to the Heartstone." Clara carefully fastened the pendant around her neck. It felt warm against her skin. As she looked up, she saw 3 other fairies hovering nearby. They were small and shimmered with different colors. One was blue with wings like a butterfly, another green with dragonfly wings, and the last one sparkled like a ruby. With hummingbird wings, they smiled at Clara, ready to join her adventure. Guided by the pendant's soft glow, Clara and her new fairy companions set off on their journey. They crossed babbling brooks on lily-pad bridges, flew through the sky on the backs of giant friendly bumblebees, and followed winding paths through enchanted forests. They faced many challenges along the way. They outsmarted mischievous pixies, who tried to lead them astray, solved riddles posed by wise old tree spirits, and even escaped the clutches of a grumpy troll guarding a rickety bridge. Through each challenge, Clara's courage and kindness shone through. She treated every creature they encountered, big or small, with respect and compassion. This earned her the trust and help of the forest creatures, who aided them in their quest. Finally, after many days of travel, the pendant led them to a dark and forbidding fortress. Black smoke billowed from its tall towers, and the sound of thunderous roars echoed from within. This was Malric's lair. Clara's heart pounded, but she knew she had come too far to turn back now. With her fairy friends fluttering nervously beside her, Clara bravely entered the fortress. The air inside was thick with a strange, unsettling energy. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and eerie shadows danced on the walls. The pendant pulsed brightly, guiding them deeper into the fortress. They finally reached a massive iron door. It was heavily bolted and guarded by 2 fearsome, snarling, wolf-like creatures with glowing red eyes. Clara knew she had to be brave. Clara stood tall and faced the fearsome creatures. She closed her eyes and thought of the fairies, their sadness and their fading magic. The pendant around her neck grew warm, its light intensifying. When she opened her eyes, a powerful beam of light shot out from the crystal, pushing back the creatures and shattering the bolts on the door. Inside, Malric waited. He was a menacing figure, cloaked in shadows, his eyes burning with a malevolent light. In his hand he held the Heartstone, a beautiful crystal pulsating with stolen magic. He laughed when he saw Clara, but his laughter was cut short when he saw the light emanating from the pendant. "A mere child thinks she can defeat me?" Malric sneered. He raised his hand to strike, but Clara stood her ground. "You are wrong," she said, her voice clear and strong. "It is not by power, but by kindness and courage that good triumphs." The pendant blazed with light, its power flowing through Clara and into the Heartstone. Malric screamed in fury and pain as the stolen magic was ripped from his grasp. The Heartstone flew into the air, pulsing with its regained energy. With a deafening crack, Malric's fortress crumbled around them. Clara and her fairy friends were bathed in a warm, brilliant light as the Heartstone soared into the sky. It flew back towards the heart of Luminara, trailing streamers of shimmering light. The darkness that had shrouded the land lifted. The colors of Luminara became vibrant once more. The fairies rejoiced, their wings fluttering with newfound strength as the magic returned to their world. They showered Clara with flower petals and sang her praises. Clara laughed, her heart filled with joy. She had faced her fears, fought for what was right, and saved a magical kingdom. Even though she was just a young girl from a small village, she had made a real difference. As the celebrations died down, it was time for Clara to return home. The fairies gathered around her, their faces full of gratitude. They thanked her for her bravery and promised that her kindness would never be forgotten in Luminara. With a final wave, Clara stepped back through the shimmering gateway. She found herself back by the familiar stream, the setting sun casting long shadows through the trees. The pendant felt warm against her skin, a reminder of her extraordinary adventure. Clara returned to her village, her heart forever changed. She knew that even in the quietest corners of the world, magic could be found, and sometimes, even the smallest voice, filled with courage and kindness, could make the biggest difference. From that day on, Clara carried the spirit of Luminara within her, always ready to embrace the magic and wonder that life had to offer.